God, the Supreme Father in heaven. Yeah, that's also a person. Father means a person. So once this concept starts to be accepted, people immediately make the first mistake. So they think, well, if he is a person, then he's a person like me. You know, especially when we see a picture of God with 2 arms, 2 legs, he's definitely not a monster. So then he must be like me. And then we hear what he was doing, how he is appearing on this planet. Then we immediately start to compare. And this is actually a very basic mistake. Because God, that word God in itself implies that he is beyond comparison. There is, believe it or not, something we cannot compare because we cannot even imagine. It's not in a vicinity of our imagination, our thinking power, which is already here in the material world quite easy to demonstrate. Like when I drive over Öresundbron to Sweden, I have no idea how they built that. You know, it's just a structure standing there. I drive over it, but I have no idea who did it, how they did that. I cannot do that. So obviously there are so many things around us. We have no idea how they came into existence, how they are constructed. We just use them. So this whole material world is in one sense one big construction. And nobody asks who really did that. They say, there's all kinds of concepts. There's even a concept that this construction came about by a big bang. And it comes from a cosmic soup. Not very scientific expressions. You know, this is what you learn in the school, that in the beginning there was a big bang. Well, first of all, bang means that something gets broken, not something gets constructed. I think if I bang something here on the floor, then probably it will break. It will not be new. Yeah, I don't create by banging something. That's the first problem. And the second problem is, let's assume that there was a bang. Well, who banged it? You know, who started the bang? Somebody must be there who just did bang. So this is highly illogical, this thinking. There's a vast amount of ignorance out there. Nobody asks any logical questions. People simply accept things. You know, that life comes from chemicals, and here we are. Accidentally collected chemicals. Just imagine I will treat you like that. Hello, you are just accidentally collected chemicals which came about by a big bang. It doesn't provoke really much respect, isn't it? It means you're actually nobody. So this is actually the mood which is emanated, which is taught in educational systems. And on the other side, there is so much concern about human well-being, and we are the people, and what people? It's accidentally collected chemicals. So in Krishna consciousness, this is actually not just a religion. It's not a belief. It is actually can be scientifically examined. Science means there is an experiment, there is observation, and then there is conclusion. And we can think and observe all the way through. We don't ask people to believe anything. We just ask people to think, to start to think, practically. So today, of course, is a special day. God appears in various forms. He doesn't have only one form. He has many forms. Like we have also different features. Like, you know, we have a sleeper feature, then we have an angry feature, then we have a confused feature, then we have a lusty feature, you know, and we act accordingly. So we have also different features. God also as a person, supreme person, amongst many persons there is one who is supreme. So he has also features. And he appears in a very scheduled way. It's predicted. We know how he appears, we know when he appears, and we know what he will do. Even his actions are quite mysterious to us, but we know there is a purpose in it. So today we celebrate the appearance of Lord Nityananda, who is a transcendental brother of Lord Chaitanya. This couple, these two brothers, they appear in various forms. Maybe you see the picture in the back, there is a greenish figure that's called Lord Ramachandra. And behind him, there is actually standing his transcendental brother Lakshman. And this comes from another age where Krishna appeared in this form, as Lord Rama and Lakshmana. Then he appears as Krishna and Balaram. Yeah? Here we have only a picture of Krishna feasting with the cowherd boys, but usually there is a whitish figure next to him, that's Lord Balaram. It's the same thing. It's the same Krishna and the same transcendental brother appearing in these forms. So Lord Nityananda is appearing along Lord Chaitanya as Krishna appeared with Lord Balaram or as Lord Ram appeared with Lakshman. It's this basically same pastime, but it's translated into a particular age. This age is called age of Kali Yuga. It's actually, you could say, it's a universal autumn. That's before the big winter is coming. Actually, it's a winter already. It's darkness. The universe goes through seasons, like we experience every year, 4 seasons. So there are actually 4 yugas, or seasons, in the universe as well. There's creation, spring, then there is the summertime, then there is autumn, and then there is winter. So Kali Yuga means winter actually. It's the winter came, it's presently 5,000 years of this winter passed already. And this is a age, every age has its symptoms. People are different. It is not the stone age man living in a cave. This is also highly discussed in even the scientific circles. Just because we find some bones and we find some skeletons in a cave, it doesn't mean that the people lived in the caves. Why should they live in the caves? You know, they lived in the huts, on a simple structures or whatever. But of course these structures collapse, the caves are remaining. So that's what we find then, the caves. There was even one young scientist he had nothing to do with Hare Krishna, but he gave a very interesting idea on a scientific symposium. He said, where is this idea of a caveman coming from? People living in caves. Why should I live in a cave? Just because you find the skeleton there, surrounded by some paraphernalia, yeah, of course, that's where they put the dead man, because the cave is like a refrigerator. It's cold there. So they kept the cold dead bodies in the caves. And because they worship them and they believe that they will still somehow live there, so they gave them all this paraphernalia. But normal people, they lived in the huts. They lived outside in the sunshine. And they lived in another, outside. And of course, that huts doesn't exist. We just found the case with a skeleton. It's like somebody discovers after Copenhagen is finished, and everything is finished here, it got flooded, let's say, and then the flood goes down, and then out of the mud and out of the whole thing is an area which is called the Copenhagen graveyard. And somebody makes excavation and he says, oh my God, here they were congregating, look. They were all together here because all the bones are in one pile. And he opens the graves and he goes, well, that's how people lived in Copenhagen. They were all living like this next to each other. Well, he's in a graveyard. So this kind of scientific nonsense we have to hear all the time. People learn this, teach that, and make even tests from that. It's amazing. It doesn't make much sense. So the appearance of Krishna is, Krishna appears for a certain purpose. And God appears for the purpose, usually in times where people end up, due to their forgetfulness, being confused. We forget things, then we get confused. One of the worst confusion and forgetfulness is that we forget who we are. It's called amnesia. Somebody walks on the street, he falls over, hits his head and forgets completely his name. And forgets even his identity. From a spiritual point of view, we are all like that. We forgot who we are. Somebody say, I'm Danish. That can be changed. Somebody say, I'm a woman. That can be changed nowadays too. So all these things. And somebody says, I'm young. Don't worry, that will be changed, guaranteed. Somebody says, I'm old. Well, that will be changed too. How? We're going to die. But me as the person can remember these different stages. I remain the same actually. But we forget. We forget who we really are. Who are we really? Any older person, you can ask him, how was the life? Now you are 80 years old, so how was it? Did you actually become what you wanted to be? Did you work what you study? Did you got the right association of people you desired for? I mean, when everybody tells you, you know what, my life was one big mess. I started this, then I didn't got a job here, then I got married here, and that fool divorced me over there, and then I have children here, and the children walked out too, you know, and I grew up in Denmark, now I'm living in America, you know, and I mean, life is like one big roller coaster. It's changing all the time. All the time. Nothing is for certain. But one thing is for certain, that I'm the person who can actually witness the whole thing, and I do remember, yeah, that's me. Okay? So who is really me? This is what Krishna consciousness is about. To remember again, who is me? Then the next question is, where do I come from? How did I came to Denmark? I was born here, okay, you know. Why I was born here? Who decided for me that I must be born in Denmark? Who decided for me I must be born in India? And once I'm born in a certain area, well, I will act in a certain way. Certainly. Danish body is not an Indian body, and Indian body is not Danish body, and Indian body is not Russian body, and the Russian body is not... We know from our movement, this is an international society for Krishna consciousness. You know how many different bodies are running around in this society? And you know how difficult it is to manage this? This society is, people always ask, how do you manage in Krishna consciousness? I tell you a little secret. We are helpless. We don't manage one thing. We don't even know how we survive tomorrow. There's no security here. Yes, we have here. They always ask us, how many members do you have? Well, we don't know who is chanting Hare Krishna. We don't know who is reading Bhagavad Gita right now. We don't know who decided to serve Krishna. We don't know. We just deal with some people who come in the door and say, Hare Krishna, I am here. And we go, oh, that's nice. Please, what can you do? And sometimes they go, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. Bye-bye. And we can only say, well, bye-bye. We can do nothing about it. But there is a plan. And there is a society. And that means those who actually cultivate spiritual knowledge. That's actually the membership. That's actually the members. Those who are interested, and to the degree they are more serious about that, to that degree we call them a devotee. That means someone who devoted his life to Krishna. And we call them also spiritually advanced. Or not so advanced. There are different levels. That's, you know, that's it, it's like that. So that's what defines our membership. But essentially the question at hand is the same. Who are we? And the more we understand, I am not this body. This body is changing. I joined this movement when I was 18 years old. That body is gone. When I look at old picture, me being 18 years old, you know, in Krishna consciousness, I thought we will take over the world in 2 weeks. That was the mood. I joined in the 60s, where everybody was, or many people, slightly terroristically inclined to change the world now. Yes, let's do it. It's good, it's a good idea. It's not a bad idea, it's a good idea. Well, it took some years before I realized that maybe I should start to change myself. It would be a good thing to start. To change the world is a good idea, but what about me? So this is a very personal thing, Krishna consciousness. Because we have to find ourselves. We don't know who we are. We think we are this body. That body is gone. My 18 years old body is finished. You know, I cannot act even like that. When I was 18, I was like, you know, yes, yes, yes. You know, and I even noticed that those days there was a certain females who related to me quite happily. They were also 18 or 20. Now it's not like that. Now I have a daughter who is almost 18, and she thinks, what an old bum. You know, this old guy, what is he talking? Yeah. Yeah, I realized, oh, I am becoming exactly like the people I used to laugh about. You know, that's the change of the body. And there will be still, maybe in this lifetime, I will experience how my body dwindles even more. I will go, hey, Krishna is nice. You know, maybe, I don't know. We don't know. Time is going, time is changing everything. So today is, to stay with the subject, today we are celebrating the appearance of Lord Nityananda, who is a special form of Krishna, who appeared in this dark age of Kali to disseminate simply Krishna consciousness. In the previous ages, to become Hare Krishna was not so easy. As a matter of fact, this is maybe for the new ones a little bit shocking to hear, but Krishna, in the time he appeared in his original form as Krishna or Govinda on this planet, he put a simple condition. You surrender unto me or you die. It's pretty heavy. You know. And it's not like everybody saw, oh, this is Krishna, this is God. No, most of the people didn't know it even then. And that was a very different age. That was more like 5,000 years ago. And, you know, when Krishna appeared, that was the last time in his original form like that. But all his incarnations are basically the same. They are same qualities. Like I said, this is the same person. So in this age, Krishna appears according to the circumstances. He appears in the most merciful incarnation, and this was indicated in the introduction. Merciful means you don't consider the circumstances very much. You just, you just see, this is all crazy. You know, when you come in an area, there is war, and people are dying, and they are hungry, and they are crazy, and this. Well, you cannot put too many conditions. You cannot even say, please line up, sit down, and listen. They're all, it's very difficult. So this kind of workers, in the altruistic sense, they are Red Cross workers and all kinds of people who go in these disaster areas and they try just to save people with whatever they can. They give them some cloth to dress, they give them some food to eat. But once again, this is all directed towards the body. And the real disaster about this age is that people are completely ignorant about spiritual life. They don't know who they are. They just run around and they think, I have to become a computer expert. What about if they switch off the electricity? You can use your computer, I don't know what you can use it for. You can use it not even as a cushion. It's useless. All these screens and gizmos and all this and finished. But you know how easy that is? They have electricity fall out sometimes, half of the city is dark. It's all finished. I just got a phone call from my daughter 1 week from Lund, city of Lund, that's where she is. Somehow she lives in an area of Lund which is quite established, it's quite, upper class area of city of Lund. And the electricity goes out regularly. In a whole quarter there. So she called me up, she said, oh, it's getting dark again. And everything switched off. Darkness. And then she said, well, I still have some battery on the phone, I can talk. And then she talked, and then after a while she said, it's so peaceful here. It's so nice. There was the neighbor knocking on the door. Hello, excuse me, do you have a candle? Yeah. And people started to talk to each other. And it was kind of peaceful. It was kind of, because we don't even understand how controlled we are by this technology. Now we are using it also in Krishna consciousness. But we know it's very temporary. Don't worry, all the Facebook and all the Twitter and Twitter and blah blah blah, this will be all switched off. And then people, instead of going, they will look at each other and they will talk to each other. I tell you a secret, it's a very different experience to talk to somebody or write him an email. It's a very different experience. So we are almost like, we are not praying for this, but we know this will come. This will be switched off, the whole thing. Our spiritual master Srila Prabhupada, he had one comment on this, one sentence. He said, all this technology is very temporary. People go, what do you mean temporary? It's going on for 50 years, 100 years, and we are getting better and better, and I have my iPhone, and I have my application, and I have this and that, and this and that. Once again, once things switched off, nothing works anymore. So this is the society we are really talking about, just in a practical sense. Then maybe people will ask you these questions, who is me, where do I come from, what do I live for? Do I live for just to buy a new computer? That's the goal of my life. What is this? And then they will ask questions. Who is God? How He appears? And in His form, as Lord Nityananda, He appears in this age just to disseminate unconditionally Krishna consciousness. Especially Lord Nityananda. God has different features, as we mentioned. And Lord Nityananda is exhibiting a little bit, you will be amazed to hear that, but God can be also a little bit eccentric. Otherwise, where is this nature coming in us? You know, we have some eccentric people around. Actually, personally, I'm coming from a very eccentric background. As many of my godbrothers those days who joined, somehow this movement is very attractive for artists and musicians and all kinds of very far out people. You find amongst my godbrothers from my generation, until today, even we are now like kind of older men, we refuse to behave like that. When I know even some godbrothers, we come together, we can still have a good laugh and good jokes about the stupidity of this age. Even my Torah tells me sometimes, cannot you behave a little bit like an older man? You know, just, you mean because old is like, now comes serious knowledge. Yes, it is very serious knowledge, but why cannot we make a joke? And believe it or not, God is going to also make a joke. Otherwise, where is that side coming from? This is very unknown in a Christian tradition and Muslim tradition. And just imagine the Muslim circus who say, and God makes a joke. Oh, they will be upset. They will, they will probably just go, you know, finish him off. What did he say? God can make a joke. One offense. No. Otherwise, again, why can we make a joke and God cannot? Who forbade him to do so? But when he makes a joke, it's a genius joke. It's such a joke that for thousands of years, the sages are analyzing what a joke is. It's a 5-dimensional joke. It's not like our jokes. Usually we joke only about the pain of others. That's the humor actually we have. Ha ha ha, he slipped on a banana peel. Ha ha ha. You know, and ha ha ha, he is so stupid. This is our humor. But when God makes a joke, it's full of wisdom. It's full of enlightenment. And it's very uplifting. It's full of knowledge. So this is when jokes comes from God. And we have in our literature, when you read our books, you will find plenty of examples of that. So, Lord Nityananda is a feature of God, which is a person which is slightly eccentric. You know, Lord Chaitanya Nityananda appeared for the sake of spreading Krishna consciousness. So this is called Sankirtan, congregational public chanting of Hare Krishna and informing other people about Krishna consciousness. That's what this whole movement is about. We are not the cave, you know, and the hiding in a monastery and hiding in a temple movement. No. This temple exists just so you can come in here. That's all. And of course we worship here God in His form, you know, that's all right. But that we could also in anywhere else. That kind of worship we can do, you know, anywhere. We don't need you for that. But this is not the purpose. The purpose is that you can come and see and hear and ask and take part. Srila Prabhupada said, this is your Krishna consciousness, not just mine. This is yours. As one later on his disciple said, you know what? I like it. And you know what his answer was? You like it? Then take it. Just embrace it. Take it. That's the mood. That's the reason why we are serving this prasadam, this food offered to Krishna. You know, that's the reason why we invite people. That's the reason why we are living. Right now, there are 3 devotees in 3 days in Frederiksberg, in Copenhagen, participating in some kind of Copenhagen esoteric festival, populated by probably thousands of people. And they come there and they just get the same thing we get here. We do the same thing all the time, but it's not boring. So Krishna consciousness is very interactive. It's not boring at all. It's actually increases in pleasure when people come and take part. So this mood is emanated from Lord Nityananda. Actually, he was every day when he was appearing, what was this, 450 years ago in Bengal. So when he appeared, he was specially known that he liked to go out through the city of Navadvip, that's where he appeared, and he liked to go to the parts of town which were most degraded. You know, I don't know the most degraded area in Copenhagen. For me, it looks all the same, but you know, but there's for sure some differences. You know, and you come in a certain part of Copenhagen and you go, okay, and there's some gentleman coming around the corner. You want some dope, you know, or something like this. And then there's a certain areas where people live in a slightly different way. It's not one and the same, I know. But Lord Nityananda, he liked to go especially there where the most degraded ones are living. Because he considered them to be most eligible to be saved. It's called Patita Pavana, the savior of the most fallen ones. And of course, when you preach in such an area, well, it's not going to be always peachy, because people don't know how to behave. There was even an incident where he came up to the quarters of two gentlemen, Jagai and Madai. They were actually previously high-ranking priests, brahmanas. But due to being rich and due to being opulent, they got tempted by so much sense gratification and they degraded to the level of drunkards. They were just drinking and chasing ladies and that's it. They are such a priest, even in the Christian tradition, we know that. So, you know, and then they came there and they thought, hey, this is our candidates. You know, they should be saved. And actually as a response to their preaching, Lord Nityananda got physically attacked. He got even a pot on the head and he was bleeding, which provoked a reaction from Lord Chaitanya, who came very furious, ready to kill on the spot the aggressive, you know, the attackers. But it was Lord Nityananda, while bleeding, who remembered him. You are the most merciful incarnation of God. You didn't came here to kill people. You came here to kill their ignorance. We are also killing. We have nothing against killing in Krishna consciousness, but we are killing the ignorance. This is much more difficult to kill somebody's body. To kill somebody is actually a question of a few seconds. But to kill his ignorance, that's a challenge. Because he will go, I am not ignorant. That's the first thing he will say. I am fine. Really? Then why are you suffering so much? I am not suffering. I am happy. But you are dying. Everybody is dying. You know, this is the classical things we encounter daily. People don't even know that they are suffering. It takes quite some intelligence to understand, I do suffer. You know, they think, no, I'm happy. A little problems, yes. You know, yes. I have to have my quota of cigarettes, my quota of alcohol, my quota of TV watching. I have to have all kinds of things. I have to have my quota of sex. Otherwise, I'm fine. I'm a happy man. This is pig philosophy. Like you go in a pig place, you go, my dear pigs, are you happy? And they go, we are so happy. We are just, look, they are feeding us here. And the rent is for free. They don't understand that the truck driving them to the slaughterhouse is always standing in front of the door. So that much intelligence one encounters on the way. So this is actually for people who are called sumedasa, that people who think and consider, why do I suffer? Why do I have to? Why am I exposed to so many things? So Lord Nityananda appeared for that purpose. So he remembered Lord Chaitanya, don't be aggressive like this. You appeared, you are God, and you appeared to save these people, not to kill them. And actually, as a matter of fact, the result of their preaching that these two gentlemen got reformed. You know, it's not easy. It's a very desperate work we are doing. People saying, Hare Krishna, yeah, what is this to do with my life? A lot, I tell you, a lot. That's how we got affected. Because people are in a most wretched and miserable condition. So that's the need we are addressing here.